Welcome, everyone. 6 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m. It is Wednesday, July 17th. I'll get it in a minute. 2019, 51 degrees outside. Haven't been in the show 10 seconds, and already I'm making mistakes. So, Shane Matavin on the line with me. How you doing, man?
I'm doing terrific. Feeling great.
Better than I am, huh?
Looking forward to next week. Can't wait to see you live in the house.
That's right. Yeah, it'll be next week. In fact, if you're planning on attending our gala, we are going to be live and in person, both of us, at the Grand Tree, the highlight room on the backside in the convention center of the Grand Tree. And we're going to be there at 6 o'clock on Friday, the 26th of this month. And if you go to the hot bar on KMMSAM.com, you can let us know you're going to be there and how many people you're going to bring. So get over to the hot bar and at KMMSAM.com. Also, if you're on a smartphone, next to listen is app chat. Next to that is a confirmation that you're going to be there. And you can put your name in and how many people are coming. Because we need to know how many people are there. We got a room for 50, but we'll see if we get more than 50. We'll have to make other arrangements. We'll have to get a bigger room and more food and all that. So we need to kind of plan this out. So if you're going to be there, get over to KMMSAM.com or on your smartphone on the right next to the listen bar is the app chat, and then there's a bar or a link next to that to let us know you're going to be there. So, or if you're not on a computer, give us a call, 522-TALK. And we'll record you that way. Or text us, 478-8298. And we'll be happy to get your name in the pot there. So, okay. Yeah, that's
there you go.
All we need is your name and how many you're bringing.
That's right.
If you're going to be 1 or 2 or 50 or 10 or 25, let us know. So we don't want to have you standing along the walls, with no seating. So we need to know. All right, our weather. We've got to talk about our weather because it's so great, Shane. Finally, we got decent weather. Today we got increasing clouds with a high near 77, light and variable winds, 10 to 15 miles an hour. They could go up to 21 miles an hour, but those westerly winds are going to bring some warm air into the area, so it'll be pretty nice today. Tonight, mostly cloudy, gradually becoming mostly clear with a low around 53, so should be pretty nice overnight today and tonight, and then moving into tomorrow, Thursday, 78 will be the high, and it is mostly sunny. And there's no rain there. No rain at all in that forecast. And same for Friday. With the fair in town, what more could you ask for than nice weather for the fair? And 75 on Friday, no chance of rain there. Saturday, 73, no chance of rain there. Sunday, 78. And no chance of rain there. And then it goes into 84 for your commute back to work on Monday, the 22nd. And that will be 84 and a low of 56. No chance of rain in there. In fact, the rest of the month, there's very little chance of any rain at all. We're in the 80s most of the month. And for our gala on Friday, the high will be 80 and mostly sunny. So there you are.
All righty.
And I said it already.
Sounds like a nice place to live.
It sounds like a great place to live, doesn't it? The last best place on earth. Temperatures around the area right now, 54 degrees in Livingston. It is 51 in Manhattan. It is 52 in Three Forks. It is 48 in Gallatin Gateway. It is 50 degrees in Ennis, 44 in Big Sky. And at the airport in Belgrade right now, it's 51 degrees over there, mostly cloudy, and it's 51 degrees at our studios here in downtown Bozeman at 10 minutes after the hour. And that will wrap up your morning weather. Our poll question of the day, is Donald Trump a racist? Is our poll question of the day. Go to KMMSAM.com and vote. Go to your smartphone, AM 1450 KMMS app, and vote. And so far, 87% say no. So and 0% say yes. So, but it is early. The liberals, the liberals aren't up yet. The liberals aren't awake yet.
They're not awake yet.
They're not
an open poll.
They're not working, so they're not up yet. So, so once we get the liberals in here, should be quite a poll. So we'll see how it goes as the day goes on. Well, on this day in history, in 1821, Spain ceded Florida to the United States. Shane, we got Florida from Spain.
Yes, and actually, this is a great story. So it should take a minute here to tell it because I think it's one that people find fascinating. Not part of the Louisiana Purchase, not part of the original colonies, not part of the Midwest that America conquered on its own. So it was Juan Ponce de Leon, who in 1513 claimed the land for Spain in St. Augustine. Mm-hmm. And the United States, it was an organized incorporated territory of the United States from March 30th to 1822 until March 3rd, 1845, almost 20 years before it reached statehood. And we all know St. Augustine is the capital in the Panhandle. The other thing that I think is quite fascinating about this is, guess who was the original governor of the state, 1821? Andrew Jackson.
No
President
way.
Andrew. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
What a guy.
Yeah, so there you go. That's a pretty cool thing. And the rest is history, of course, because it became a state as we know today and has principal involvement in every election now with 28 electoral votes.
Okay. Yeah, it's a big deal. Florida, California, certainly, Texas, all big deals. New York, yeah.
And Pennsylvania and Michigan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big deals in the that electoral college deal. So, all right, let's see. In 1898, Spanish troops in Santiago, Cuba, surrendered to U.S. forces during the Spanish-American War. Wouldn't it be the Cuban-American War?
No, that's later. But anyway, no, yeah, it is actually. And it really was created by the media. The U.S. Maine, which was dispatched to the Havana.
I remember the Maine.
Yeah, that's right. You were there? No, you weren't. Anyway, it was
the battle cry. Remember the Maine.
That's right. Remember the Maine because it exploded for unexplained reasons in the harbor. Yeah. And yellow journalism at the time, which was Mr. Hearst and all of his newspapers, screamed and yelled, sort of like got you involved in the Vietnam or the Bay of Tonkin, right?
Yeah.
Resolution. And anyway, Speaker of the House Thomas Brackett Reed suggested that the U.S. go to war, and never made a declaration, but they did go anyway, and they fought bravely. And ended up with a lot. They ended up with Cuba, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and the Philippines. And they paid $20 million in war reparations to Spain for it, which would be the equivalent today of $600 million. So once again, we learned about your history. This thing about not claiming land that you've conquered is not true. You did take land that you conquered.
We did.
Plus Guam and several other islands in the Pacific from the Spanish.
We did. Yeah. We're low-life scumbags.
Yeah, I got to bring it up because the demolition squad, they're out there now, buddy. So now we got to answer to it. You got to talk the truth.
Oh man.
Or you're a racist. You're a racist.
This is painful. All right, 1917, with the country at war with Germany, the British royal family changed its name from the German Saxe-Coburg Gotha to Windsor.
And all too often in the 18th century, monarchies, invested in the future by having interracial marriages. I don't know if it's interracial. Is it intermonarchical? Anyway, Queen Victoria married Prince Albert, who was never allowed to be king of England, but her prince consort, which is one of the reasons she believed he died, and she was very angry at the British Parliament because of that. But he was from the house of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, and that had represented pretty much every major house in Europe because of their cross marriages. So, they were all good buddies and
I was going to
interwoven.
say, yeah, everybody was in bed with everybody else during those times. We didn't care if you
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you were related or not. It didn't really matter.
that's right. So this happened in 1917, and there's been three kings and one queen, Queen Elizabeth, of course, at the present,
Mm-hmm.
and she's overseen the combination of the British Empire under the Commonwealth of Nations, which is a pretty good deal. It's was it 53 member states. So there you go. The House of Windsor lives strong today.
All right. We got to take care of our ranchers and farmers and truck drivers and all of those folks that bring you food, booze, and clothing. Here's your
But
news.
not necessarily in that order.
Not necessarily in that order. All right. Here's your news and agriculture coming up next. 22 minutes after the hour, it's Wednesday, July 17, 2019, 51 degrees outside. Shane Matobin on the line with me, half man, half amazing. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor in the house. And this is the KMMS Morning Soapbox with who else? Tom and Shane. So happy to be here. Happy to have you guys tag along with us. Thank you very much for taking us wherever you're going. And on this date in history, 1918, Russia's Tsar Nicholas II, his wife, and their 5 children were executed by the Bolsheviks. Ooh.
Right. Lenin thought that to end the possibility of any failure, and with the civil war that was mounting against the White Russians, that the only way he could survive as communist and control Russia was to wipe out the line, the monarchy. And but he'd had a hard time of it, and it shows later, especially with Stalin during World War II, because Russia lost the 1904-1905 Russia-Japanese War. I mention this because of 2 reasons. The Russian Baltic Fleet was destroyed by the Japanese in the Battle of Tsushima. Interesting battle, by the way, if you like naval wars, fair. But because of that, they lost the influence over Manchuria and Korea. And the Japanese annexed the North and South Sakhalin Islands. So the reason it's important is after World War II, Stalin was adamant about getting Korea back, and Manchuria didn't have back with Manchuria because we'll talk about that next with what happened at Potsdam. Anyway, so regrettably, his reign was short. November 1st, 1894, the 15th of March, 1917. He was 50 years old, a great line of the House of Romanov. But in most cases, the monarchies by the late 18th century, early 19th century, they weren't educated enough to understand the importance of social and economic development and what was occurring globally, not just within their own countries. And there you go. The Soviet Union was born.
All right. Let's see. 1945 on this date, President Harry S. Truman, Soviet leader Joseph Stalin, and British Prime Minister Winston Churchill began meeting at Potsdam in the final Allied summit of World War II.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this that's so relevant to our present-day situation are the borders in Europe, particularly in the eastern part of Europe, Eastern Europe, not so much in the western, but of course the split of the countries, Poland ending up in the hand of Russia, and Stalin demanding, that he had the right to Korea. He wanted Manchuria, but Truman and Churchill had to meet with Chiang Kai-shek, who was in a civil war with Mao and the Japanese at the time, excuse me, and then after that Mao. And he was basically in Manchuria, and they didn't want to interfere with that situation because they were supporting him. So the world basically got divided up at Potsdam, and regrettably, the dirty little letter that Churchill wrote to Stalin agreed to the provisions and the divisions of the Eastern European countries. And it's one of those sad things that you find occur in this situation. Same thing happened in 1921 after World War II, as we talked about. The entire map of the Middle East was drawn. Mm-hmm. All those countries were created. So, but this was sort of like the grand end of 2 millennium, and the final map of the globe, with the exception of Africa. And so, it was amazing development politically and geopolitically for man on the planet. And so Potsdam was important.
Quite a deal. Yeah, it really was. 1955 on this date, Disneyland opened in Anaheim, California. So Disneyland became Wonderful World of Disney on Sunday nights and all that stuff. Quite a promotion going on, and everybody went to Disneyland. Disney World came along later and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you want me to say anything about it?
Well, you can if you want to. You're half the show. Say whatever you want.
As Walt Disney was such a brilliant guy, and he lived a life of epiphanies because he had the ability to bring them to life, and most of the stuff that he had was it was like not unforeseen, but newly conceived ideas, like theme parks, because there really weren't any. It opened July 17th, 1955. Of course, like Disney World in Florida, he had to secretly buy up the land. It originally was just the theme park itself, Disneyland. They didn't really develop it until 20 years later into a larger theme park with hotels and so forth. But it's just one of those things that's fascinating because excuse me, he was visiting Griffin Park in Los Angeles. Beautiful park, by the way, which is another reason why I bring it up, because I don't know what it is today. Probably not as beautiful as what I saw 20 years ago. But Griffin Park, he was there with his children who was watching the parents on the merry-go-round. And, he had this epiphany because of this experience with his children about, gee, that might be an idea. I should think about this, putting together a theme park where parents and children could play together. And and what caused that was he had been to the World's Columbia Exposition in 1893 in Chicago. His father took him there. So it's amazing how, one event in a person's life to another event can result in something that's just remarkable, and in some cases affects the entire world.
Amen. All right. We got to duck out here, pay a couple bills. We got Montana State News, got Fox News, got Brick Foster Weather. We've got ZipRecruiter, Mark Levin, all kinds of stuff. So we'll be back right after that. 24 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, July 17, 2019, 51 degrees outside. Looking for a high in the mid-70s today, or high 70s. Shane Matobin on the line with me, half man, half amazing. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor, and welcome to the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And as we mentioned earlier, if you plan to attend our big gala, June 26th that's a Friday night at the Grand Tree. We'll be in the highlight room on the convention center backside of the Grand Tree, and we hope you'll make it. You can go to our KMMSAM.com website, click on the hot bar, and you will see that you have a place there where you can RSVP. We'd like to know how many people are coming so we can have adequate seating and all of that for you. So if you are planning on coming, get over there and put your 2 cents in, and we will be happy to accommodate you on the 26th. That's 6 p.m. at the Grand Tree, Friday night. Shane and Tom, live and in person, both of us. Wow.
Yeah, and we want to remind people this is such a big deal that you get to get in it through the back door.
I know. Yeah, you're getting in on the ground floor of the back door. Getting in on the ground floor. So, yeah, plenty of parking back there. So it's pretty good. So. Yeah, so we hope you all come, and we like to meet folks that listen to us and get your feedback on what we're doing or what we should be doing or what you like for us to do or whatever. We're kind of guessing at what you want to hear here. So,
and someone bring me a MAGA hat. I got to find one somewhere.
Okay, well, I'm sure they will. There should be some, yeah. Well, I was going to bag the history and go on to maybe local stuff, but there's some interesting history I think we need to talk about here. Okay. For one, if you're a baseball fan, Baseball Hall of Famer Ty Cobb died at the age of 74 in 1961. And I was wondering if He probably didn't see Pete Rose break his record because I think Rose broke it in the 70s, sometime in the 70s, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
somewhere in there. So he wasn't didn't see that.
but that wasn't the only thing that he did, though.
Well, no, I understand that, but I mean,
I know you do. I mean, he's the greatest baseball player of all time.
Oh, he's
really.
got games played, a number of outs, hits, whatever. Yeah, he leads. He leads a bunch of categories. Yeah, great player. But I remember Ty Cobb used to sit on the dugout and he would file his spikes while he looked at the second baseman to see, he used to file them down to knives.
That's right.
He was not a nice guy.
No, he wasn't, and he was really good at stealing bases.
He was good. Yeah, he was good. Well, he was good at most of the game. You know, I mean, he led the hits till Rose came along. I mean, for years and years. Also in 1967, if you're a jazz fan, not me, jazz saxophonist and composer John Coltrane died at the age of 40. So I don't know. I've never been a jazz fan.
Well, the thing about Coltrane that was important in musical history was his incredible amount of work and the albums he did.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, he really created this whole genre of jazz, which came out of the South, and it's actual American music, you know, like the musical. So it's an area of music in history that will last forever, but single-handedly created that genre. Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Well, in 1981, a pair of walkways above the lobby of the Kansas City Hyatt Regency Hotel collapsed during a dance, killing 114 people. Wow.
Yeah, this is sort of an important thing to talk about. The walkway is typical through a lot of hotels that were built in the modern age between the 70s and 90s. The reason I say that is that it was a very sad situation. It collapsed onto a tea dance being held in the lobby.
Yeah.
114 people were killed and 216 injured. Now and it was the deadliest structural collapse in U.S. history to that point, until the collapse of the World Trade Center.
World Trade Centers, yeah. 1996, TWA Flight 800, a Boeing 747 bound for Paris, exploded and crashed off Long Island, New York, shortly after leaving JFK International Airport. All 230 people aboard were killed, and that was quite a plane exploded in the air. Wow.
Yeah, 212 passengers, 18 crew, no survivors. But here's the deal that you and I both remember. First of all, it was a 4-year investigation, and they literally dragged up the entire plane from the seafloor and put
Long Island Sound.
Yeah, the National Transportation and Safety Board.
Yeah,
the NTSB. And now the reason for this was there was so much conspiracy because a lot of people claimed they saw a missile. A missile. And there was some discussion about how the National Guard was, working or out, working at that time. But at the end, they said it was an electrical short circuit in the fuel tank, and the result of it caused it to explode. That was based upon the last comment by the captain, who remarked 2.5 minutes before it happened, he called crazy readings from the system approximately 2 minutes before and 30 seconds before the aircraft exploded. So, it was a plane failure or mechanical failure. Yeah.
Well, and also, since Syria is in the news, I thought we needed to talk about 2000. Bashar al-Assad succeeded his late father, Assad, I should say, not Assad, Assad, becoming Syria's 16th head of state.
That's right, and his father took over in a coup in 1971 and, ran into a civil war like his son has and fought it. And so the reason Assad today is doing what he's doing in Syria is because he watched his father do the same thing. And it's a sad reality. But, we've seen this throughout history, literally. Small and big, tyrants are pretty much all the same. They want to protect their power. And, whether they're just tyrants or it's a socialist or communist regime, it's always the same thing. We're in charge. You be quiet. We're going to tell you what to do. And look out, America. Do not fall into the trap.
Yeah. Well, in 2009, CBS anchorman Walter Cronkite died at the age of 82.
Mr. America. Yep. I mean, the most renowned of all. He did more.
Changed news entirely. Yeah.
Yep. He was on the CBS Evening News for 19 years, 1962 to 81, born November 4th, 1916, died in 2009. And you never knew, like we've talked, you and I love this man, and we've talked about him a lot. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that was fascinating about him is he also was one of the first guys to start having specific interviews with individuals like Martin Luther King and not President Kennedy, but people on the news. Like right. He really got he opened the news up to the world and the idea of it being an information highway as well as a newscast.
Yeah, and he reported the news. Wasn't an opinion person until he left the news, and then we found out he was a raging lefty. Left as you could go, probably.
Well, I think everybody sort of had their idea, but
I think probably so. But I mean, he certainly was. He didn't varnish it like they do today.
Right. He didn't influence it, like Don Lemon.
Yeah, right.
Things that guy says on CNN is like, wow.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing. Also, birthdays today. We should mention James Cagney, American Motion Picture actor, Broadway stage, did it all. Born on this date in 1899, died in 1986, and just did everything in motion pictures.
And the reason that this guy's so fascinating is twofold. Number one, he's a short guy, so they learn camera angles, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. He was pretty short. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but the second thing is he made the talkies work. He was because he was one of the first great talkie
actors. Yeah.
And man, he just burnt up the screen. When he got angry, you knew he was angry.
Oh yeah.
Even though he was acting, it was amazing. It was impressive.
Yeah. Another actor not very well known, William Gargan, born on this date in 1905, died in 1979. Not as well known, certainly, as Cagney was. And also born on this date, Earl Stanley Gardner, Perry Mason fame, born in 1889 on this date, died in 1970.
I just want to mention John Jacob Astor because the Astor dynasty was a major, 18th century family in railroads and coal, and did a lot for the creation of the Industrial Revolution. So he was one of those wealthy monopolists, but he made a difference in America.
All right, we got to take another break. We'll be back in exactly 1 minute. 12 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, July 17, 2019, 51 degrees outside. Shane and Tobin on the line. And Tom Eagle, your morning mayor in the house. And this is the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And in local news, got a lot of things going on. And, oh, my gosh. Well, the county fair starts today, Shane. The big fair's going on, be on today through Sunday, and lots of stuff going on there. So I know a lot of people will get out there and check it out, and should be a pretty nice, we're going to have great weather for it. We're not going to have any rain. We usually have rain on the parade, so to speak, or the fair, rather. But at any rate, we'll see how that comes out.
Now, my favorite food at the fair as a kid was a corn dog. What about you?
Yeah, you got to have a corn dog. Yeah. Well, according to some folks over at the Montana Taxpayers Association and the Gallatin County assessment, we all got our tax bill, and a lot of people were kind of shocked at what it was, but they're claiming it won't be as bad. They're even though houses went up 23%, or at least the appraised value of them went up 23%. So Many homeowners were confused by the state's letter listing each home's new appraised value because the letters also estimated how much property tax people would pay based on tax rates staying exactly the same. But tax rates, the number of mills charged per thousand, and property value is coming down, they claim. So it may not be as bad a bite as you thought it was. The school board's optimistic when the budget dust settles, and the school board meets August 12th to set school tax rates for the coming year. Lots of homeowners will find the bite isn't as bad as they feared. Well, I don't know. We're putting a new high school in. We're revamping the old high school, and we got a public safety center to pay for. So I'm not sure how they're going to go down, but maybe they will.
Hey, props to you, Righteous Eagle, man. You came through on this one big time. You hammered the airwaves about this story for 3 weeks. And I guarantee the response that they got from the people that you talked to and discussed this at length, and from one end to the other of the cause and what it does and the impact, has probably as much to do as anything for them to talk about bringing it down. You influenced this decision.
Well, we'll see. I don't know if we did or not, but
I don't need to see. I was here listening to it. I sat.
You were here, huh?
3 weeks.
Okay. Well, I don't know. You may be giving me a little too much credit, but I'll take it.
Never right. No, you deserve all the credit as the morning mayor and the savior of the Gallatin Valley taxes. Wow.
Okay, well, we'll find out when the board meets August 12th. So we'll see if I'm vindicated or not. But
well, you'll be vindicated.
But I know there were a lot of folks, and a lot of them called here that were very upset with that Gallatin County homes gone up in just 2 years by an astonishing 23.25%, doubling the state average. So. We did talk about it quite a bit here, and Jeff Krause came in and voiced his opposition, and some of the folks here at the station, Michelle Wolf, hers went up dramatically, Dave's went up dramatically over at XL Country, and it was quite a story there for a while when people started opening these envelopes, and whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? So.
Well, that's why this Bogert Pavilion is such an important thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the reason is that, you see the rationale that these people elected and what their priorities are. They'll let something rot, absolutely rot, without painting it, which, is crazy. Mm-hmm. But, boy, they'll be right on top of getting those taxes raised and collecting more money, to spend on what? Painting a pavilion? No, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So, I know it's important to keep an eye on all these people, and you do the righteous thing, Mayor, doing what you do every day.
Yeah, I wrote a blog on this yesterday that should have gone up first thing this morning. I don't see it on there yet, but maybe it'll show up. But anyway, so we'll keep you apprised of what's going on there. Also, the affordable housing continues to move ahead. I don't know. These guys just drive me nuts with this crap. Mm-hmm. So, of course, they want to sell homes to people left behind. Left behind, Shane. They're left behind.
Right.
Bozeman's climbing house prices, and the city commission approved the nonprofit, HRDC is the nonprofit, their final plat for the Willow Springs subdivision on Monday, giving HRDC the okay to build 24 townhomes at the corner of Hoover Way and Sarton Street in northwest Bozeman. Each home will go on sale at prices that people making 70% of the area's median income, and that would be about $30,000 to $40,000 a year. And the nonprofit will likely begin building the first 12 homes later this month or early August, and they hope to have them livable and ready to move into by 2020. And the subdivision is set for less than 3 acres that partially wrap Baxter Square Park. Each townhome will be held in a land trust to maintain its affordability beyond the first person who buys the property. So in other words, they're sort of quasi-renting.
Yeah, right.
I guess that's what it's going to be.
Do you have to take a break, or can I make a real quick comment?
Make a quick comment. I got to take a phone call here too. But,
So,
yeah.
folks, listen to the mayor on this one, because this is why. When the son gets involved in the school system and people go, oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Who's going to pick the 75 people to buy these homes? Wow. I wonder how that works
How that's
out.
going to go, huh? It's not what you know, it's who you know, huh?
That's right, baby.
All right.
Not, you know.
Let's take a quick phone call, then we got to take a break. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Hi. Well, I was just catching this briefly, and I just wanted to say, when we're looking for affordable houses and affordable rents, you're getting less and less affordable rents because the people who own the houses are paying more and more in taxes.
Exactly.
And then I also remember that, they used to just say, oh, it's just another pizza. Pretty soon we'll have lots of pizza and no housing.
That's right. I got 25 pizzas stacked in my closet.
At least, yeah. Well, have a great day.
And
Thanks for the call.
They're just empty boxes, folks. We don't.
That's
want,
true. Yeah.
We don't want Tom having rotten pizza.
That's right. No, I already emptied the pizza. So, all right, we got to take another quick break. We'll be back in 1 minute. All right, it is 3 minutes before the top of the hour, Wednesday, July 17th, 2019, 53 degrees outside. Shane Matobin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor in the house, and it is the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. Let's go to the phones. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. If you want to be a part of the big broadcast today, caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Good morning, gentlemen. It's Steve.
Hey, Steve.
So I'm curious about something.
Go for it.
I know that the city commissioners, the Bozeman city commissioners, they don't actually make that much money.
No, they don't. No, they don't. Yeah.
So I'm so curious, how are they weathering this tax increase?
Well, they're not in charge of it, so that's I assume they're weathering it just like everybody else is.
Yeah, well, I just thought of it because, man, wouldn't it be great if they felt the pain that so many of us out here are feeling?
Well, I would think they are, and I think a couple of them live in some pretty nice digs.
Yep, that's what I would expect, too. And Shane earlier mentioned something about the way that we're spending the infrastructure and maintenance. But, hey, we can afford a Story Mill Park.
Of course.
And this park is so unique. It integrates animals from the local populace.
That's right. Yeah.
What are we doing, Bozeman? Oh, you have
don't
to
you live in a
mile and a half
wilderness?
further, and you're in the mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't you live in a natural wilderness park already?
Yeah.
We sure do.
Pretty much.
It's just an hour from one of the biggest ones in the world.
How much housing could that $40 million have built?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
That's scary.
Yeah, and that space that they have, how many acres is that park?
Yeah, it's not much, but, well, it's pretty good size, I guess. The park is. I was thinking of the 3 or 4 acres they're going to put these townhomes on, but which will be near that. Yeah.
It's just so, it's just disgusting. I mean, it's liberalism out of control, and, well, hey, we need more taxes. We're going to raise another levy.
Well, unfortunately, the people who want to run for office all seem to be in the same vein as what we've got now. We need some conservatives to jump up, and Jeff Krause is kind of the lone voice for a lot of people on the commission. So that's where we find ourselves.
Yeah, I just don't see how many locals you could get to run in that conservative party.
Yeah.
Here,
that's the problem.
just because, there's a populace here that tends to lean left, unfortunately. So we get what we pay for, huh? Thanks, MSU and everybody else.
That's it. Hey, thanks for the call. Thanks for listening.
Have a good morning, gentlemen.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, take care. All right, that does it for this segment. Mike McCormick will be in at 8 o'clock. Coming up next, Shane, I want to talk a little bit about tariffs before Mike gets here. We can kind of set the stage for that, and we'll do that when we come right back, right after these important words from Keep Us on the Air. 6 minutes after the hour, it is Wednesday, July 17, 2019, 53 degrees outside, looking for a high of the mid-70s today. Shane Matobin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia, half man, half amazing. Tom Eagle, your morning mayor in the house, and this is the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. From our text line, we got those are opening up, Shane, so let's see. You know who else gets rich and wins election? Liars. Look at the two choices we had in 2016. I like that. Let's see. Protectionism is enacted to benefit a small group at the expense of a large group. Free trade is a way of benefiting large groups at the expense of a small group. But politically, the small group always speaks with a bigger voice. That's Milton Friedman. There you are. Let's see. Go to another one here. Laughter is our most important export. We were talking about Walt Disney earlier in the hour, last hour. Walt Disney, I finally remember watching Mutual of Omaha, Wild Kingdom, and Marlon Perkins and the Wonderful World of Disney on Sunday nights, all while getting ready to go to church evening service. My, how things have changed. Signed by Tam. Tom, you're interrupting people way too much. Also, you make a mistake and then laugh about it way too much. Okay, I'm going to work on that. The solution to low-income housing in Bozeman, you'll have to explain what these are to everybody, Shane.
Yeah.
The solution to low-income housing in Bozeman is felt yurts for global warming. There you go. And there you go was written. I didn't say it. So felt yurts are kind of Russian, aren't they, like Russian igloos or whatever?
Oh, are they?
I think so. I think that's what they are. Yeah, they're. Yeah, they're
tundra. Those tundra
yeah, they're the
bubbles.
Tundra. Yeah, they were. Yeah, that's what you stayed in out on the tundra.
Made out of yak skin.
Apparently, only white conservatives can be racist. Seems everyone else can say what they want with no repercussions at all. And the president never said the squad should go back to the countries they came from. They all came from places, states, and districts that are controlled by Democrats and have big problems. That's where they need to go. Signed, Bob. So,
well, I want to tell Bob something.
Yeah.
Look, this all started 4 weeks ago when Trump announced that ICE was going to go out and find people that have been issued, the bench warrants had been issued because they didn't follow up on
their court date. Yeah, they didn't show up for them. Yeah, they didn't show up.
He said, and if you remember the Democrats went crazy. Oh, this is terrible. It's inhumane. And so Trump said, fine, I won't do it. I'll wait 2 weeks. Let's do something to solve the problem. And what did they do? Nothing. So, a lot of this is, when they say it's misdirection on his part, it's misdirection on their part doing nothing and not allowing him to bring up the fact. Again, they did nothing in that 2 weeks. And they thought, oh, we'll laugh about it and put him in a box and let him go. And we'll get video of him, taking people out of the country. This is really tough, Tom. This is not good.
Yeah.
You gotta uphold the law.
There you are. Is Donald Trump a racist? Is our poll question of the day. Right now, 85% of you say no by his deeds. 9% say I do not dwell on unproven accusations, and 1% or 4% say yes by his words. And I'm not sure has no votes. So that's our poll question of the day. So if you want to get over there and check it out, you can certainly do that. Also, I need to remind you, if you're going to attend our gala get-together with Shane and I on the 26th of July, a Friday night, you need to go to KMMSAM.com and look on the hot bar, and you'll see a link for Tom and Shane Evening or Evening with Tom and Shane or whatever it is. And you can RSVP there. You can also go to our our stupid phone app, AM 1450 KMMS, the phone app. And right next to the listen button is the app chat button, and right next to that button is the RSVP button. So you can RSVP on your phone as well. So we need to know how many people are coming so that we've got a room right now for 50, but it could be less, could be more. So, but we need to know if you're going to break our bank with food and drink, we need to know. So
I'm only paying for the creamers for the coffee. Okay.
That's all he's paying for. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. He's going to get a big box of the creamer at Costco.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll go pick that up before the event.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So, if we could, if you could do that. If you're not on the internet, give us a call. Let us know how many people are coming at 522-TALK. You can call us off the air if you want. If you don't want to be on the air, call us during a commercial or whatever, and let us know how many people are coming. And we'll get a tally together, and we'll see where we are. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about the tariff situation, and tariffs are cost. It's just no way about it. But they do not.
No, wait. It's not a cost.
Well, it's a cost to somebody.
It's a revenue.
Well, it is a revenue, yes.
Yeah.
But okay. Well, I'm going to cover that. Just give me a second. It's a cost, okay? But they don't destroy our money.
No, that's right. Yeah.
They do not take our hard-earned dollars and burn them in a big pile.
No.
Tariffs are simply federal taxes. That's it. The extra cost paid by importers and consumers goes to Uncle Sam to distribute as he sees fit. For example, Obama subsidies. I could put it there. Why not? So, but it wasn't long ago the media was complaining because Trump was cutting taxes. Now it's complaining because he's raising taxes. Are you confused?
Are you confused yet? Well, You know how I feel about this, but go on.
Okay. Well, anyway, the amounts involved are trivial. They're chicken feed. President Trump has hiked tariffs from 10 to 25% on about $200 billion in Chinese imports. In other words, he just raised taxes by $30 billion a year. Oh, no. The total amount we all paid in taxes last year, federal, state, and local, was $5.51 trillion. This tax increase that has everybody's panties in a twist is a rounding error.
Correct.
So, meanwhile, the total value wiped off U.S. stocks during Monday's panic was about $700 billion, more than 20 years worth of the new tariffs.
That's right.
But now we're at 27,000, so all that money has been recouped.
That value, that's right.
That value.
It's a good analogy, yes, yeah. Comparing it to the market.
Yeah. In fact, we've raised $9 trillion in new revenue from the markets.
Of course, yeah, because
if you think all that is going to the people at the top. Check your 401k, your retirement fund, your IRA, any other pension fund that you have, and you'll see that you're probably doing a little better than you thought.
That's correct.
So even if Trump slapped 25% taxes on all Chinese imports, it would come to a tax hike of $135 billion a year. U.S. gross domestic product last year, $20.5 trillion. So even this supposedly scary escalation of the tariff war would raise our total tax bill from 26.9% of GDP all the way to 27.5% of GDP. So about 2% of our 20 trillion.
Not 2%. No, not even. No, that's only 0.6%.
It's actually
0.6%.
Yeah, 0.6%. Sorry. Yeah. I math challenged this early in the morning.
No, that's okay. No problem, buddy. I'm your muse.
I know you are. You're there to help me out. And isn't it interesting to see some people's priorities? Apparently, the most shocking part of this trivial tax hike is it might raise the price of a new Apple iPhone. A luxury item, by the way.
Well, yeah, which they do anyway because that's the way they've built it. You know, they built it on that premise. Yeah. The iPhone, I mean.
And meanwhile, the trade spat seems to be bringing down food prices. China is going to take less of our farm products. So wheat prices are down 20%. Since the start of the year, soybeans are at a 10-year low. Good for consumers, right? No. Bad news for farmers. And this all ignores the bigger picture. The tariffs are simply a means to an end. The president is trying to get China to start buying more of our stuff. He knows the so-called Middle Kingdom, which now has the second highest economy in the world, responds to incentives more than nice words. These tariffs give China an incentive to open up. And I don't think wheat is down that much right now, or soybeans, either one. Shane, you can kind of check that while I take this very important break, and we'll be right back right after this. 20 minutes after the hour of 7 a.m., Mike McCormick will be in at 8 o'clock, and Shane and I are talking about tariffs as we move into the bottom of the hour. And from our text line, let's see. Sorry, I won't be able to attend the get-together on the 26th. What time is the event? It's at 6 o'clock on the 26th, the Friday night at the Grand Tree. Will you be broadcasting? I'll be on vacation, sitting on a back porch overlooking Indian Bay and Wild Horse Island on Flathead Lake, I should say. Enjoying barbecue and PBR. We are not going to be broadcasting it. We might actually try to do a Facebook Live from that. So we might be able to do something like that, and we'll see if we can maybe get something going that way or not. So we'll check and see. From our text line, if tariffs don't hurt, why are we bailing out farmers? Well, I think I just mentioned that the grain prices and things like that. Yeah, tariffs do hurt farmers, and that's why we're subsidizing them, so that we can get there.
Hold that thought.
I'm holding it.
Okay.
What do you got to say?
Well, when you're finished, I'll go back to it.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Trump isn't yet a racist just because he wants to send the brown sludge in Congress back to Midland. And let's see, I think that covers everybody. Yeah, that's what we did. So, okay. Go ahead, Jane.
About the tariffs, Tom and I were referencing an article by a gentleman by the name of Brett Aarons, and he published it May 15th, 2019. Mm-hmm. Now, you may ask, why is this important, Shane? Why do you think this is so important? Well, because if you look at soybeans in reference to what he said, and you go back to May 19th, the price of soybeans was $7.93. And today they just went, today they're at 902. So. And the high, you've seen on soybeans in the past is over 900. So yes, at the beginning of these discussions with China, the price of soybeans and wheat dropped back in May of this year, but they have more than recovered since then. And now with the devastating flooding in your central country, they're probably going to go even higher. So, while the importance of his reference to food being less expensive at that point might be relevant, it really isn't for the future. Now, with regards to tariffs, folks, please let me explain this. I want everyone to understand this. A tariff is not a tax. It's revenue generated from product brought in your country that the government it charges a company to bring it in. It only is a tax, and everyone you listen to has said this, but they don't explain it. If the product that has been tariffed, the price of it is raised, then it turns into what they claim is a tax to you, because you're paying more for that product because they put a tariff on it. So it's not a direct tax to you, but they're referring it to you as it's inflation to you if they raise the price of the product you buy. And you know what, folks? Ain't happening. The Chinese can't afford to raise the price of anything. So, this is a brilliant idea on the part of your president. He took in almost, $35 billion last year, and he's headed towards $75 billion this year. And, this should maybe be a serious consideration for the future, because before income tax in the 18th century, that's how your country was funded, tariffs.
Yep, that's the short answer. Well, in view of what we talked about earlier, though, Shane, the amount of the tariffs is a rounding error.
It is a rounding error. You know, the media and particularly the Democrats make a big story about it, but the fact is that you know he's trying to raise revenues as best he can, whether it's through expansion of the economy or in this case tariffs, and to get a long-term fair trade agreement with a country that you're in the position to force that upon.
Yeah.
And you know if you don't do it now, you know. And if there isn't a downturn in China, you could be in serious trouble in 5, 10, 20 years.
Yeah. Well, most tariffs in the past have lasted roughly about 18 months. And
That's right.
The answer to, well, why did they end? Because somebody came to the table and made an agreement. That's why they ended.
Like Mexico and Canada.
And Canada.
You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, we saw this with the whole thing everyone was talking about. And, you know, you and I, it's not that we laughed about it, but we found it rather, misappropriated when they talked about the price of steel and aluminum. And, you know, you remember a year ago we were talking about what the cost of a tin, you know, like a Coke can would go up. And, you know, and we thought it was a bit ridiculous when they were talking about, you know, aluminum's now at $18.50. You know, it's down 10% for the year. And steel's 4,100. You know, it's only up 1% for this year. But you know, steel was up to 7,200 last year, and aluminum was up to 2,600 or something. I have to look it up. But the point is that in the modern age of the 21st century, something that hasn't been used for 100 years looks like it may be something of value to generate revenue to reduce the debt your country has. Why not? You consume 25% of the products around the world. Why not pay a fee for that?
Well, as I've always said, there ought to be a finder's fee for 320 million of the most affluent customers on the planet.
That's right.
There ought to be some kind of charge to access those people.
That's right, exactly.
I don't know. Anyway, Shane, from our text line, a question for you. Our text line, 478-8298. Is Shane in favor of a VAT tax, which is similar to tariffs versus income tax? And I think I know the answer you're going to give, but go ahead and give it.
Well, I can only go in reference to what has worked in Canada. And if I know the U.S. looks at the states to see, you know, the testing ground for things and ideas. We all know that. In the 1990s, our debt was racing out of control. You know, we were at $1.1 trillion, and we established a GST tax of 6%. It was only supposed to be in place for 3 years. Well, folks, here's what happened. Within 3 years, it was down 30%, the debt, and then they decided to extend it. And they decided to extend it on the basis of reducing it from 6 to 5%. Our debt then dropped to in half to $600 billion until our new government, who's added, you know, over 20% more to the debt. But the point is, yes, but you have to provide a balance somewhere else. In other words, property taxes. You know, like even though they're regulated by states, you know, the compromise could be that if we do this, you know. VAT tax, whatever you want to call it, across the board, that some local tax like property taxes would have to be abolished. That's my view.
So what about a VAT tax is simply a value added tax, and what it means is that a product is taxed at each level as it goes through the system, from a manufacturer to a jobber to a distributor to a retail store, whatever. So there may be 4 or 5 levels before a product gets from the manufacturer to the store shelf.
But that's not what we have. We just have a general service tax. Everybody pays 5%, and there's things that you don't pay it on. You don't pay it on food or children's clothing and certain things. So there you go.
Okay. So, you okay? Well, good. We're at the bottom of the hour, so take a deep drink, and you'll be all right. All right. While Shane recuperates, we'll be right back with more stuff right after this. So stay tuned. A lot more to come. Mike McCormick will join us at 8 o'clock. Stay tuned for that. And we've got a lot more to talk about with tariffs and VAT taxes and things like that. So hang on. 24 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, July 17, 2019. We're looking for a high of 75 or so today. And Shane Bataman on the line with me. Tom Eagle, your morning mayor. Welcome to the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And from our text line, 478-8298, this is why a businessman helps our country more than a pure politician. Now, that's signed by Gary. Appreciate that. And also, is Shane really trying to claim Trump is imposing tariffs to raise revenue while spending record amounts? Are you really saying that?
Absolutely. Why not?
Well, he's spending record.
And by the way, that's an incorrect statement.
Okay.
Because by this time of his first time in office, in year 2 of Obama's, $4 trillion he'd spent.
Well, that'd be true, but
yeah,
we're talking about Trump now, though.
I know, but this economy is based on Obama. Remember, I mean, Obama's the one that's caused the economy to grow.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, but you do have to admit, in the first 2 years, the Republicans control the House, and all the spending bills begin in the House, and so now it's on the now it's on the Democrats. All the spending bills will be done in the House of Representatives.
Well, it's with 73 trillion in sovereign debt around the world, and the fact that the only place to invest is the United States. I think holding $22 trillion in debt in your country is not such a bad idea. What does concern me, of course, like everyone, is not raising the debt ceiling, which we'll be talking about by sometime between now and September. But more importantly, not getting a resolution passed, a reoccurring resolution, which we love to call them.
Yeah.
So the government can pay the interest rate. But don't worry, America, because every department in the executive branch has billions and trillions of dollars of cash sitting in it because Obama never spent the infrastructure money that he got. So it's okay, everybody. Their bank accounts are flush. It's all right. Even if they shut the government down, they can pay their bills. Yeah.
Well, and also the bulk of our debt we owe to ourselves.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
So, it's money in the left-hand back pocket that just is owed to the right-hand back pocket. So,
well, I want that left back pocket.
I do too. I want some of that.
I want some of that debt.
There you are. Well, we're talking about tariffs. We also talked a little bit about the VAT tax, and according to Investopedia, Shane, Canada has a VAT tax. So I don't know if you realize that or not.
Some provinces did impose additional taxes. They called HST. Yeah. And it does do what you say. Every movement of a product, whether like even an accounting, like an accountant, he passes it on to his client. Everybody. There are some provinces, but the national tax is a general service tax. It's 5% across the board. There are limitations, as I said.
Yeah.
Like food and children's clothing and school supplies.
Yeah, those are exemptions on in Canada and the United Kingdom. The United States is the only member of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, that you may hear about from time to time. We're the only one that does not have a VAT tax, and that's a pretty large portion of most of the countries running around the world. So.
Well, but the reason for that is infrastructure. You have created infrastructure to collect taxes, particularly from the employer.
Right.
I mean, that changed in 1942 when, the government wasn't directly collecting taxes from you.
Yeah.
They got your employer to collect the tax for them. Wow. I mean, remember 2,000 years ago, the Romans would send around tax collectors.
Right.
They'd get stoned.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well,
now you don't see it.
Politicians figured that one out.
Yeah, you don't see it anymore. Now it's an item on your check stub.
Now, you don't stone your employer because he takes your taxes.
Well, that's why I say business pays all taxes. You don't pay any taxes. The the employer pays their part and your part for you, and then they give you a slip at the end of the year that says you paid this, which you didn't.
Yeah, they pay them and collect them. Your government's got this made
We've
up,
got this nailed, man. We've got this nailed. Let's take a quick phone call, then we got to take a break. Caller, you on the air? What's going on?
This is Clint.
Hey, Clint. Be quick, because I got to take a break.
But I'll call back.
Okay, all right. Let's do this, Shane. We got a caller waiting on the line, and I will take a break, and you can entertain them, and we'll be right back. 15 minutes for the top of the hour. We've had a caller on the line with Shane. Let's go to the phones. Caller, you are on the air. What's going on?
Well, there's a Shane. No, he hung up. He had to go. But he had two questions. One, fire problems in BC. None at this time. Mm-hmm. And it's been a very light fire season. We're really grateful. It started out bad at the beginning, as you know. And the second question was, when was the last time they passed a budget in your House and Senate? And then we got into the conversation, about, well, they don't want to because, Bush Senior adopted that law that the departments would have to be audited to pass a budget. So it's a continuing resolution. We got to run from that one.
There you go. Let's see, from our text line, 478-8298, when debt exceeds GDP, we're creating a time bomb. And also, we are the only country without VAT and single payer, which work well in other countries. Well, if you can find another country with 320 million where a single payer is working, I'll be happy to entertain your thoughts. But till you do, with the diverse people that we have here that also have diseases and maladies that are peculiar to various people from around the world, we have quite a challenge in our healthcare system. And right. I don't know about you, but I don't want one grocery store. I don't want one auto mechanic. I don't want one shoe store. I don't want one bakery. So,
and the most important thing, and the biggest number, and we brought this up, and I'll always use it. 11% of our GDP is spent on our medical services. You spend 16%. There is no way you're going to improve your medical services by increasing that percent, spending a greater amount of your GDP on your medical services than what you're spending now, because we spend 11% and it is a mess. All right.
Yeah.
So,
well, I would, firsthand, because you've experienced the medical system in Canada firsthand.
Well, the gentleman that called asked me if I was okay, and I said, I've been fighting a cold for 2 weeks. I went to my doctor 2 weeks ago. I said, I got this summer cold, He said, well, how bad is it? And I said, well, listen. And I started coughing, and he checked my lungs. He said, oh, yeah, that sounds congested. I said, yeah, but I'm at that age that you got to worry about pneumonia. I don't want to die in a hospital of pneumonia. And I said, so can I have a prescription, for an antibiotic? Because it's, it's an infection.
Sure.
Oh, we don't do that anymore. What do you mean you don't do that anymore? Well, under the new guidelines. What new guidelines?
Wouldn't he give you a pneumonia shot? We get pneumonia shots here,
No, nothing.
Not giving you anything, huh?
No. Go home and have some neocitrin or drink teas.
Now, let me ask you this, because one thing that has happened in Canada is private clinics have opened up where people can go and say, okay, I'll pay for the service. So if you went to a private clinic, would I'm guessing they would give you a prescription, no problem.
There are now more
private clinics.
No, not private clinic. MRIs.
Oh, okay.
There are now more MRIs in private clinics in the Lower Mainland, BC, of Vancouver, than in the hospitals.
Really?
So, meaning every private clinic that opens up has a MRI, which you can get into and use right away.
Really?
Otherwise, you're looking 3 to 6 months with the medical.
At the hospital, unless you have an emergency of some kind.
And then you kick somebody off their list that have been waiting for 3 to 6 months.
All right. Let's get back to the phones. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, go for it. What's up?
Well, I want to ask you two smart financiers.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this?
Maybe you better wait till Mike gets here.
Yeah.
Go for it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Here's a question of the day.
Yeah.
How come it is the state of Montana is required by the legislature to balance the books when the state of Montana is in the red? We owe more than we take in. Now, explain how you balance your books with a debt like we have, and who is to pay for that debt in the end?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's really simple. That we only balance the capitalization budget, or the operating budget. We don't do the capital budget.
Okay, now, Tom,
mm-hmm.
You're a smart guy, and so are you, Shane. Now, is that the way you run your business at home?
No, of course not.
Well,
but if my home is run on other people's money, sure.
Why not?
Okay, now, but the other people's money hasn't got enough to pay the debt for Montana. The people of Montana are going to get screwed in the end.
Well, did you get your property tax bill?
What? Hey, well, I got part
Montana's not going down without a fight, Clint. They're gonna knock it to you, man.
I know
Yeah.
What? And I bitch about it, and that's all I can do unless I go over there and say, well, you know.
Well, we got a vote coming up in 2020. Take care of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
See, government figured out. They keep making the net wider, so they came up with this, unfunded long-term liability problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well,
and as Tom has explained to you, they then separated it from the operating side of the budget.
Yeah.
So it's like when you put a balance sheet together for a private company, you have income and you have profit and loss, and then when you put together a business plan, you have long-term debt and short-term debt, and you have the operating income, and you have administrative income. So they've just basically taken some ideas from business to use it as a practicum, so they can take advantage of these difficulties.
What you're talking about is creative finance.
Oh yeah,
That's
sure. Yeah, it's what.
Very
now, when
creative.
the rubber meets the road, when the rubber meets the road, and and I know that somebody's going to pay the bill eventually. They think.
Well, yeah, but here's the big problem, and it's a dirty secret, and we've talked about this. That's why the demos want a death tax, because your generation and our generation have $34 trillion in assets.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if they take 50% of that when you die, it wipes out the national debt.
Yeah, if the taxpayer, again, like I say, they pay the bill.
Well, there you go. That's what they're looking at. That's what they've been looking at for the last 50 years.
Okay, why do we continue to allow this to happen?
Well, you don't. President Trump got rid of the death tax.
Well, he does to a certain extent, but he did it another way. The tariffs that he set is still taxing the American people and what they buy. So it's a catch-22. And the thing is, in the end, about Montana, I ain't talking about Trump, talking about Montana. How much money do we have in the coal tax trust fund? Do we have enough money on hand without the taxpayers to pay us into the black?
I'm sure we do.
Huh?
I'm sure we do.
Well,
but we're not going to. But that money is that's in a lockbox, Clint.
I don't think we have that money.
Well, we may not. It may be on paper.
How much is in the coal tax trust fund? Too?
Oh, I have no idea. It's millions. I know.
Well, look at that.
Oh, so they say anyway.
Yeah, well,
I mean, we can look it up, but I'm sure it's in the multi-millions.
Well, that might pay us off, and that might show us being in the black, that we could be in the black.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're not. But we have to balance the budget, and that's what I say. It's creative bookkeeping. It's kind of like that.
Well, we had that problem in BC. I'll tell you real quick. I'll take 30 seconds.
Okay.
In the 1950s, we had a premier that saw the future about power and hydro.
Uh-huh.
So he built massive dams and created a crown corporation called BC Hydro.
Okay.
And between 1948 and 1963, we built dams across the province of BC, all the power lines to the U.S., and signed a treaty with Lyndon Johnson and that premier under the Peace Arch, on our border.
Uh-huh.
Now, 80% of our power goes to the United States. the coast of Washington, Oregon, and California. 20% of the power comes from BC. The reason I'm telling you this was what he did is he implemented a guideline that said when the bonds were paid off for the building of all of this hydro system, the money that would be generated from the hydro, the cash flow, was to go to two things: medical, education, and free housing for people that were poor. So they started to be paid off in the 90s. Were done by 2005. Guess where all the money went, Clint?
Yeah.
Into the black hole of the provincial parliament budget. Not one dime went to not one dime is gone
to housing or anything else, huh?
Yeah. It's just, it's just typical government.
That's shady bookkeeping.
There you go. I got to take a break, guys. All right. Thanks for the call, Clint. Appreciate it. All right. We'll be right back as Shane clears his throat, and we'll be ready to go again. So, Mike McCormick will be in about another 5 or 6 minutes. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back. 2 minutes for the top of the hour. We had a caller waiting on the line. Caller, you are on the air. What's going on?
So, a couple of days ago, Tom, I was like your school, and I'm giving you some chastisement.
Okay.
But today, you get a gold star.
Oh. Well, see, I'm always trying to prove myself.
So, don't you want to know why you get a gold star?
Why do I get a gold star today?
Because you read the text about single-payer system, and you actually commented on it and told why you disagreed with it and gave it some examples. But, the scariest thing about that text is it's a tip of the iceberg of socialism. And if you look at the dictionary and read about socialism or communism, they're almost identical. And the biggest thing about them is that there's no ownership of private property. So as a Democrat who wants to say they're a socialist, if you take it all the way to true socialism or communism, there's no ownership of private property. So all your listeners out there, if you want to say you're for socialism, single payer, things like that, you're going down a scary, scary road.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
Mean, they're talking about the government and owning everything.
Pretty much.
That's their demand.
Yeah.
Doesn't make you happy to live in America? Come on, I know. Yeah. I'm kidding.
You can't. As a private citizen, you can't own anything. The government owns it all. They want to control the transportation. They want to control manufacturing. They want to control medicine.
Mm-hmm.
If you get treatment or not. To sum it all up, there's no ownership.
Yeah, I gotta go, guys.
So they own you.
I hear you. Hey, thanks for the call. All right, we gotta go. All right, thanks a lot.
My only comment is, how do you feed a horse in a condo?
Mike McCormick in the house. How you doing, Mike?
I'm wonderful today. Happy summertime. We are just right smack in the middle of Bozeman's beauty time. Wildflowers. I think we've got a break from the showers for a while.
Yeah,
it's on.
Yeah, it's going to be nice for the fair this week, so should be pretty nice out there. So
yeah, and hopefully you've been out there feeding the mosquitoes at night and and enjoying all the fruits of Bozeman for sure.
That's what we're doing. Yeah. I should mention to everybody that we've been getting RSVPs for our big gala extravaganza coming up on July 26th, Friday night at 6 p.m. If you want to RSVP, go to KMMSAM.com, look on the What's Hot bar, and you'll find a link there to put your name in. And
what is it? It's a big social, a big community party.
It's Shane and I live and in person.
You're kidding me.
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh! You better RSVP.
Entertainment galore.
It is going to fill up.
That
immediately.
That will fill the place. Yeah, we're going to be at the Grand Tree, the highlight room in the Grand Tree on the convention center on the backside of the Grand Tree.
Spectacular.
And Shane and I are going to be live and in person. So I know Shane's the draw. Everybody's going to come to see Shane.
Oh yeah, right.
Nobody's going to come to see me. They're
not
going to come to see Shane.
Everybody needs a wingman.
I told Tom it'll be 200 people. He goes, oh, no, we'll probably get like 50.
Yeah,
Come on.
We'll
it's got to be like
250,000.
Well, anyway.
I'll be there. I'm going to go online at this next break, and I'll be clicking my reservation.
Click your reservation.
And I'll be the guy in the back peppering questions out there.
There you are. If you have our KMMS app, AM 1450 KMMS app, you have a listen button.
Yep.
You have an app chat button.
Yep.
And then you have a confirm you're coming to our gala.
Is there a cost for this gala?
Only if you want to give us money.
Oh.
Otherwise, it's free.
It is free unless you want to donate money.
Yeah, the station won't let me charge anything.
Right.
It's payola or something.
So just bring like dollar bills or something like that for you guys up on the stage?
Yeah, we're gonna wear G-strings so you can put the dollar bills in our G-strings
with pants over that.
We may have a dollar dance. If you want to dance with us, you got to pay $1 to do it. I don't know. But we'll have some kind of entertainment.
Oh, cool. That's great.
Yeah.
Way to capitalize on Shane's taking a summer trip down here, huh?
That's right. Yeah, he's down here for a wedding in the family and
a birthday.
A birthday. I keep saying it's a wedding. I don't know why it's a wedding. Yeah. It's a birthday. Yeah.
Bar mitzvah, birthday, wedding, whatever.
Yeah, they're all the same.
Yeah, right. Not this one. 70.
They all have cakes. They all have cakes.
Right. Some singing.
Yeah.
Hey, now come on. She's the matriarch of our family.
And a cookout, and everything. So, and I'm sure she'll show up at our gala.
Well, it's at her house. I hope so.
No,
I mean the night before.
Ours. I
hope so. I'd like to think she will.
All right. There again. Evening with Tom and Shane. Get over to KMMSAM.com and put your reservation in on the What's Hot bar, or if you're on the our phone app, you got the listen button, you got the app chat, and then you got the reserve.
Probably just need to talk to your
button.
Phone in the right way, and it just happens.
Maybe
you think it, tap your phone to your head 3 times, boom.
That'll be it. That's all you got to do.
I'll make a promise.
Uh-oh.
If 200 people show up Friday night, I'll stay over the weekend and be on live Monday morning in-house with you.
Well, there you are.
Whoa. Let's do it.
Whole a deal.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's triple up.
I'll tell you, that alone should be worth coming out.
Band together.
I had to laugh about that one.
Oh, gosh. Well, we should probably give Mike some time since he's here.
I don't need anything. I'm just happy to be here. Hey, I want to, something that I've been thinking, and I saw a chart of it the other day, and it points out how similar our start for the year is to 1998. 1998 had almost an exact same start where there's a little wobbliness at the beginning and then a big takeoff, little bump happening on the way up to where we are now. And then in 1998, the market went down all the way 15% all in one go, finished up about 4 or 5% up for the year. Interesting when you come across 2 charts that look so similar. You got to say, okay, well, is there anything to this? Now, with charts and statistics, I can make anything look similar for sure. I'm pretty good at that. But this one is interesting for another reason too, because I'm just thinking how much technology has really permeated our lives in the past decade, in the past year, in the past month, or whatever. Now you can go to Kohl's and you can return Amazon goods. Now you can register with an app on your phone for an event. It's endless. We could go on and on and on. But what is interesting about 1998 is that was the run up for the .com bubble, right? We were starting to really pump that thing up. And when we look at the gains that have been happening, at least on the second half of this decade-long rally, technology has been the leader for sure. And what's interesting to me is that the technology, it's not just one little segment of our economy anymore. It is the economy. It is the growth stocks. And we even have different sectors of the economy, communication services, technology, things like that. If you go in emerging markets, you've got technology. Technology has permeated throughout our entire lives and through our entire investing world. And so it's interesting to me that this still might be a similar driver, and it still might be, it might be subject to a boom, and it might be subject to a bust. However, it's everywhere. It's across the board. It's healthcare. It's you can't touch anything. It's transport logistics. The Dow Transportation Index. It's heavily tech influenced right now too. So when we look at similarities to the .com bubble and burst, well, now we're talking about the whole economy. And that's really what we're talking about these days. When everything's getting to be expensive, there's 2 remedies. One is that the prices go down, or the other one is that we we stall out over time, and productivity increases and valuations start to look fair again. We're a wrestling match between those 2 right now. And technology is really underneath it all. And these advancements, these changes, Facebook is in the news with their Libra a challenger to Bitcoin. Bitcoin just tanked, I guess, a third based upon this new thing. And it comes back to this idea of a hype curve. A hype curve is something that was introduced by some tech wizard that I should know off the top of my head. But the idea is when there's a new thing, a new widget, it's going to have a huge run up like Bitcoin did. It's going to have another crash, and then it's going to build up from a basis of value. And if you think about the technology boom and bust, the dot-com boom, bust, build up to real value is where we're at again too. So that, yes, you can look at different scales and put different trends on it, but it's just fascinating to watch these things happen. It's fascinating to watch it play out again, and maybe it's playing out just like it always has, and we're here trying to make new news for people, just really repeating. The more you think things change, the more they stay the same, right? Be careful with your money. If you don't take any risk, you're not going to get a reward. Those are just fundamental things. Buy low, sell high.
Yeah. Well, it depends on, risk money that you can afford to lose. It's like going to Vegas, take $100 to the crap table when you're done with 100.
Not all the eggs in the basket. Yeah. Don't bet the farm, all these things, right?
Yeah.
And I still continually are visiting with clients and saying, so how are you sitting on cash? And a lot of these business owners are sitting on enormous amounts of cash, really. I mean, over $250,000 is not unusual for somebody that's got a plumbing business or something, right? I mean, it's there. But you got to get 2% on that cash. The banks are not going to call you up and say, hey, I notice that you got $250,000 in cash here and we're giving you 0%. Did you know that we offer a short-term CD or a high-impact money market account? You might want to make... They're not making those proactive calls typically.
Yeah.
So that's one of the best things that you can do right now. And I like people keeping some dry powder. I don't have a lot of concerns that nobody's telegraphing when the downturn's going to come. You're not going to know.
Yeah. What do you think about Facebook? Because I know we both own Facebook.
Yep.
I'm just curious. They just got hit with a $5 billion fine from Europe. They've been called before Congress to,
they've been getting beaten up and down in Congress.
Know. Why is the stock at 203?
Well, in some degree, there's no such thing as bad press, right?
I guess.
And when I listen to Congress, they're reminding me how dominant Facebook is, and that they have all of our data. And myself, I use Facebook.
Me too. Yeah.
Honestly, I try not to. It's sort of like watching TV. At the end of it, I'm like, well, I didn't.
We sort of have to promote our show, and
stay in touch with people. There's some good things about it, but when you're done, you don't look at it and say, well, that was better than reading a journal article or improving myself or exercising. Like, no, that just sort of wasted some time.
Yeah.
But you keep doing it. It's compulsive. It's compulsive, right?
Yeah.
And us, we love our dopamine. I'm as bullish on Facebook as I've ever been. And if anybody can make a digital crypto go, I mean, here's how I envision it. They'll just start out like...
You've got a known entity. When you talk about Bitcoin, you think, well, gee, it's kind of like a smoke bomb over the corner.
Yeah.
You don't know who's there or whatever.
And it takes some techno savvy to do it. It takes some confidence. Whereas Facebook, they could just start introducing these as any sort of reward points, right?
Yeah.
Hey, if you post more, you get some reward points. Yeah. And these reward points can be used to do who knows what.
Yeah.
And then it just starts growing from there. And then pretty soon people are exchanging these reward points.
Well, I can say them, when you do birthdays, for example, people donate, on their happy birthday, they'll say, donate to this cause or that cause or whatever. You could just do that with Bitcoin from... or Libra from Facebook.
From Facebook.
If you want, it also gives you the option on the message to send money to somebody if you want to.
Right.
So that could be when you got 1 billion people using this thing.
Well, and I think that it's going to. My guess is it's going to start in ways that don't require you to say, put in $1,000 into your Facebook account and end up with Libra. No, they're going to sort of gift these things and start making it a currency without having to require people to take risk on their own until it's got some traction on it. But I should read up on that more.
I have to make a comment.
Go for it.
I brought up Bitcoin. I find it astounding because we've been talking about it and keeping it part of our update that of things to watch. When we saw this drop at the beginning of the week after the 4th of July weekend, it was fascinating to see Bitcoin is down 22% this week, like, and so obviously big money went into Bitcoin before the holiday. Then they saw it up, sold out, the market dropped and they sold it. And I think they went back in and bought the market up. So there's a contrast to give you of how the market works in an interesting way, because it is now a commodity.
And
yeah, it is.
And it's very volatile. It's something that when it moves up and down that much, a lot of people are making and losing money. And that's why when people say, should I invest in something like that? I say, well, the based upon its moves that it makes, it's one of the riskier investment opportunities out there, which means that there's potential for great reward and there's potential for recent downturns. Yeah, and Libra has pulled a lot of wind out of that sail. But I think ultimately these cryptos, and I think Shane knows a lot more about it than I do, but there's going to be some liquidity amongst them all. If Bitcoin does well, they're all going to do well for a period of time.
Mike, I want your opinion for the listeners about the director from Facebook making the comment to your president about Google. What do you think about that?
I'm sorry, I missed that. What did happen?
Oh, the billionaire, I can't think of his name, Tom, but he's on the board of Facebook, and he told
Peter Thiel.
Peter Thiel, thank you. He told your president this week, you should be investigating Google and what it's doing with China. And that to me,
or he wouldn't work with the Defense Department of the United States, but they're working with China to censor whatever the Chinese people are doing on their online. So
they have our data, they have their data, they have everybody's data, and they're publicly
China's
traded
excited
companies.
to get their data.
They're publicly traded companies, so they're going to do whatever makes their shareholder value go up now and over the long term. And
I would say so, yeah.
And all those things that we click that say I agree means that we have no say in the matter. So, no, I don't doubt that Google, Amazon, Facebook, and lots of other tech companies are doing things that the government should maybe be more aware of. And maybe is behind the times on it. I don't know.
Yeah. If you want to know more about cryptocurrency, you can go to coinmarketcap.com, coinmarketcap.com. And looking at the top 100, almost virtually every one of them is down.
Yeah.
In some form. There's only a couple that I see, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 that are not down of the top 100. There's probably 5 in there, I guess. 95 of them are, taking a bath of various percentages. So.
And it might be going to Facebook.
It could be.
It could be.
Well, I mean, and I can understand why people might say, yeah, I've wanted to think about cryptocurrency, but there's so many of them, we don't know who they are.
Right.
They're unregulated, all of this stuff.
Jump on the coattails of something that I'm already comfortable with. I use Facebook, and so, I can get two with one stone, get some exposure. And the
chances are they're probably not going to cheat me out of my investment.
I think that's a great investment lesson for everything.
Yeah.
If there's an easier way to get into it that you can work your way up, that's great. Instead of just going in on your neighbor's investment opportunity, go through a family that so something going on.
Yeah, I'm not. I may be reluctant to invest in Mike McCormick's cereal, but General Mills and Post and some of these others look pretty good.
Hey, my cereal's delicious. You should give it a shot.
It may be delicious, but I may lose my hat.
It's full of CBDs.
Let's go to the phones. So we're going to take a break. Caller, you are on the air with Mike McCormick. What's up?
AW here. I'm a big supporter of some Mike McCormick cereal.
All right.
He likes it.
Mike's a serial killer.
There you go. I haven't used Google in forever. I use DuckDuckGo. They do not store your information.
Yeah.
And I think there's another company out there that does the same. Mm-hmm. But I thought that was really cool, and I exclusively use DuckDuckGo myself.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all I wanted to say.
Okay. All right. We got to take a quick break, guys, and we'll be right back right after this, so stay tuned. All right, it's 24 minutes after the hour. Mike McCormick is in the house, and, we've been talking about, stocks, Facebook, the market in general. 27,000. The NASDAQ set a record. The S&P set a record. The stock market set a record. Holy smokes, what's going on?
Ooh, now I can breathe.
Yeah, woo.
It's hard for me to hold my breath during those breaks.
I
but
know, yeah.
They say it's good training for my running.
Can't say anything, yeah.
Yeah, we're at new highs, and that's the neat thing about being in this business is that over time, stock market goes up, so new highs are made all the time.
Yeah.
How the markets behave when we hit one of these new highs is always interesting, and we haven't had a sharp pullback as yet from our recent testing.
I thought the 27,000 might be a 3-day deal, and then we're back to 26.8 or 26.9.
Yeah, and we're not going to see. We're seeing some earnings coming out right now, but that's really the one that's going to trigger it. Is any big
actually only
earnings
down
surprises.
25 points today.
Right. Well, Bank of America has good numbers. Yesterday Goldman Sachs didn't have good numbers. So we're seeing some of the first people reporting off the second quarter.
Right.
Financial institutions are in the front of that because it's all already on a computer screen for them. And they have good broad indication as to how the economy is behaving. Yeah. So we are looking for tea leaves. Now, analysts and companies have been pulling back earnings expectations, saying, oh, it's just not going to be as good.
Yeah.
It's not going to be as good. And it's kind of like my dad. Every Christmas, kids, it's going to be a lean Christmas this year. Woo. Don't expect too much.
I can't even afford coal for the stock.
Right. And then he would surprise to the upside every time, and Christmas would come, and it was joyful.
There you go.
So maybe he moonlighted at a public company as their spokesperson.
Yeah.
Also, hey, something else I wanted to point out that's been apparent to me is that millennials care about the environment. And I'm not saying anything new right there, but
sure.
But, when you read these reports about these millennials, right, and what they do and how they behave, and they are tomorrow's decision makers, and they're the day after tomorrow's wealthy, right? That's how I look at it. Yeah. And so they'll have power in the future, and they'll have power when we're being spoon-fed from our own millennials. And they care about the environment. They care about the environment enough to where it does guide their purchasing decisions, and it does guide their behaviors, and it does guide their investing decisions. And as a group, over time, as they gain more assets and more power, I think that'll be interesting to see. I think that'll be interesting. I've had a few conversations with them, trying to air my particular views over in the environment, and just found them to be, it's whether it's how they've been brought up or, they are convinced that this is their cause. Their cause is not, it's not the only thing, but everything that they do will be implied with that. So when I mentioned how Kohl's is taking Amazon returns, the green stamp that Amazon's putting on that, and Kohl's, is you don't need to go get a box and get the little peanut things and tape and waste a bunch of stuff that, just going to have to be recycled.
Somehow print out a label.
Right, and all that stuff. You just bring the widget thing into line at Kohl's, and 80% of America lives within 10 miles of a Kohl's, I found out this morning, too. That's, this is maybe how the distribution is going to be solved, not with drones flying, $6 pieces of plastic around, but with people, just using their own centralized distribution centers, whether it's a Kohl's or whether it's a Safeway or whether it's a whatever. Interesting.
Well, yeah. And they've got you in the Kohl's store, and whatever you return, they may say, hey, we got something over here on sale, or we got a widget over here that's, maybe better and close to the same price, and you're here, why not get it?
And Amazon decided not to buy Kohl's. They decided to partner with them on this.
Yeah. So,
and they're not rushing into more grocery stores too. So it, following Jeff Bezos has never lost anybody money. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right.
Well, we hear the sweet sounds of the guitar.
Yeah, of the Eagles. That means we're at the bottom of the hour.
Best classic rock news show on the planet. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And if you have questions for me, you can reach me at 522-3201 or just get some messages to Tom. He loves hearing from you, and he'll lay them through.
All right. All right, we got to duck out of here. We got more reservations. Want to thank Bruce for RSVPing. Want to thank Karen for RSVPing, and they're starting to come in. If you want to attend our big gala, Tom and Shane live, July 26th at the Grand Tree in Bozeman. We will be live and in person, and go to KMMSAM.com and look on the What's Hot bar for RSVP, or do it on your smartphone as well.
That is a week from Friday, July 26th.
That's a week from Friday, yeah.
Nothing better to do.
We'll be right back. 24 minutes before the top of the hour, it's Wednesday, hump day. We forgot to give Mike a hard time, didn't we? Mike, what day is it? Mike, what day is it? Well, Mike.
Hey, I just want to make a comment about generations, so we for context for our listeners. The baby boomer generation, 45 to 65, 78.8 million people. And the X generation, that's 65 to 85, 65.8 million people. And then, of course, the millennial population, which is 85 to 2005, 72 million people. So while we talk about demographics, the U.S. is pumping along very well in the context of labor in the future. So these are good numbers, but they could be a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people talk about what are the jobs going to be, because there's so much automation coming along and all of that. And I have to go back to the 1900s. 1,500 people built Ford automobiles, and now there's probably less than 200 on an assembly line, probably even less than that. And you can go to construction sites. They got skill saws, they've got nail guns, backhoes to dig the basement that guys with shovels used to. Those people went somewhere.
That's right. Well, and that's why we watch that number, the private sector jobs, 126 million people of 156 million or 160 million in your workforce.
Sure, yeah.
But the future is the individual and the freedom to create a job or a company or a business online. Yeah. Work from home.
Sure.
I mean, it's going to change drastically, and the millennials are adapting very quickly to this. It's very impressive.
There's there's a lot of people that hit yard sales or estate sales or things like that. They pick up stuff, they sell it on eBay, they sell it on the Etsy store, sell it on Yahoo, sell it on Costco, or not Costco, but Amazon. Amazon's got they'll ship it for you and do the whole 9 yards for you for a percentage of the cost. Or you can start your own business with just using their products. So
that's right, and you can get lucky and find an antique or an art piece worth millions.
Well, that's true too. But you just don't want to sell it for $1.98.
That's right.
Better take it and find out who owns it. Whatever. Let's see. Our Facebook or our poll question of the day is President Donald Trump a racist? 51% say yes, he is. 41% say no. 4% or 5% rather say I do not dwell on unproven accusations, and I'm not sure has no vote. So there you are.
Yeah, it's sort of strange, isn't it?
51 to 41, yes, he's a racist. I told you the liberals would wake up later. They're not working. So they get up later and come in and vote. So there you go.
It's interesting because, he did correct himself. And, I don't know. I don't see it. In all the things that we've watched, we've seen, I just think that he's very serious about the value of being an honorable citizen of a country you care about. And when you look at what these, the demolition squad has said after having come into Congress, I think it's a winner for him. I think ultimately they took the hook, line, and sinker. Now the entire party's identified with him. You called it, buddy. You were the right one to call it, too.
All right. Another RSVP to our gala event from our Facebook or from our emails, I guess. I get an email when somebody RSVPs. So.
That was Mikey. That was Mike.
yeah, Mike. No, not Mike yet. Mayor's bringing 110 people.
There you go.
I think maybe there might be some confusion there. If you bring 110 people, Mayor, you better bring some food.
Yeah, that's right.
We're in trouble.
You know, coffee and donuts may not work.
Yeah, that might not get it. So we'll have to see. All right, we got to take a quick break here. We'll be right back after these important words. Stay tuned. 15 minutes before the top of the hour, we've got a caller waiting on the phone. Caller, you are on the air. What's up?
Well, Daniel R. Peterson, and I'll stand behind him, has one more controversial thing to say about the Libra, the alternate money from Facebook. If anybody would say that it's not a valid attempt, they'd be back in the dark ages when there were people saying that there shouldn't be FedEx to challenge the post office. It showed it could run circles around the post office. There's probably money systems that can run circles around this sluggish, manipulated monopoly that is called the banking system. Now,
well, wait, just slow down for a minute. You know the U.S. Post Office delivers more packages now than FedEx does every day, right? You know that.
No, but I know FedEx.
Yeah, they do. They do.
They
even advertise it on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I don't have a TV, so you're ahead of me.
Well, and also, too, the post office delivers to every address in America, which the FedEx does not.
Correct.
All right. Well, fine. I'm just saying that it's giving them a slap in the fanny to get moving too with some honest competition. And
True.
I think that's
competition is a good thing.
Yeah, and
so
big banking.
And so is adaptation and development of your business model.
Mm-hmm. That too.
All right, and the big banking should have a slap at the fanny too to get their money system more open and free to be seen. It isn't that there because there were plenty of.
They're all public companies, Daniel. By law, they have to do an audit annually and disclose all their financial information.
Yeah, then why were there so many officials that said edit the Fed? They didn't just say that because they thought that the Fed was open and honest. They thought that there were a treachery going on, and if you could say that they're open and being checked, but that doesn't mean they are. Well, here's the controversial thing. Let's get this out of the way before the time runs out on me.
Mm-hmm.
What has been set up now is there's a comfortable middle class that's invested in financial stuff and is invested in the stable money system, and they kind of keep things buffered so that the elite that's making this breathtaking more money than the rest of us, and the restless, mean, spirited poor that are getting very angry about how they're been disfranchised they're keeping them apart from one another. And if you have this middle class being a buffer zone between the two, you're just using the middle class as a pawn to protect the way the system is set up. And I think that some people should threaten their own comfortability by challenging the elite and their institutions and listening to the poor and how they've been disenfranchised.
Well, the elite that you're talking about can't possibly make a dime unless they help someone.
Have you ever heard of thievery?
I've heard of thievery, but when I buy a can of tuna off a shelf in a store, I don't think that StarKist is out to get me.
All right. Do you realize why Michael Milken went to prison for?
Sure, and so did Bernie Madoff, and so did a lot of others. But I don't think Mike McCormick is any danger of going to jail anytime soon.
Well, yeah, there's apples and oranges.
There's always apples and oranges. That's the issue, you know.
Yeah, he would. Michael, the other Michael, would skim off
junk bonds,
little bits of money from transactions of old soldiers and widows. And one of his associates said, I think he's going to get in trouble this way. He doesn't have any reason to skim off 50th percent from every transaction this widow is making.
Yeah, and he went to jail for it.
Yeah. Michael Milken ran a company with 38 of 39 firms on the Wall Street floor that owned licenses to trade. And in 5 years, because of junk bonds, he went to number 2. And the industry went after him because he was grabbing everybody's clients. Now, there's a lot of other stuff, and he did get caught, and he did go to prison for. But the fact is, he changed the concept of debt in your country forever. So, I mean, it's, again, an adaptation of a system. It wasn't regulated. Once it was regulated, it was cleaned up. So this is something that continues all the time.
Well, and also Bernie Madoff, same thing, where
exactly
just a Ponzi scheme of using new money to pay investors exorbitant rates, and once no new investors come in, then the whole thing collapses. And that's what happened to Bernie.
The failure of federal government investigators to properly investigate him. That was the result of that. Right?
Yeah.
He got away with it because they let him.
All right. I got to take a break. I'm sorry. And plus, a lot of interference on the line. So I got to go. Hey, thanks for the call. All right. We'll be right back with more right after this. All right, winding down to about 3 minutes left, Shane, to kind of round out the day. We talked about a lot of stuff today, man. Pretty busy, but I want to remind everybody, if you want to attend our big evening with Tom and Shane, Shane's going to be in Bozeman on the 26th of this month, and we're going to be live, the two of us, at the Grand Tree at 6 o'clock. In the highlight room on the back side, 6 p.m. that is. Shane will be on with me in the morning. And we'd like for you to RSVP so we have an idea of how many people are going to come. And you can do that very easily by going to KMMSAM.com and look on the hot bar. And it's an evening with Tom and Shane there. Just click on that. Give us your name and how many people are going to come. And that will give us an idea of what we need to how seating and all of that, what we're going to have to accommodate folks. And we don't want people standing along the wall, or anything. So we want everybody to be comfortable and have a good time. So if you could do that for us. Also, you can do it on your smartphone. When you go to KMMSAM.com, you got the listen button, you got the app chat button, and then you got a RSVP button right next to that. So you can do it on your smartphone. You can do it online. And if you don't have any of those, you can email us at tom@kmmsam.com, tom@kmmsam.com. Don't forget the AM. And you can simply call us and say, hey, you can call us, during commercials if you don't want to be on the air. So we'll be happy to entertain you that way. So, but we'd like for you to RSVP, let us know you're coming, and we'll have a good time.
And if there are any members of the military, retired or presently in the military, please come. We want to honor you.
Absolutely.
You're great Americans. You're all heroes. So, we'd like you to be part of this deal on Friday night because you deserve it, and we're there to provide it.
Again, Friday the 26th of July, 6 p.m. at the Grand Tree. So, Shane, say goodbye.
Goodbye, Mayor. We'll look forward to talk to you tomorrow. Everybody be happy, be safe.
All right. That wraps it up for us. We are out of here. So thanks a lot for everybody. Thanks for all the calls. Thanks for all the texts and everything. Sorry if we didn't get to your text or your whatever. But, hey, we'll be back here again 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Do it all over again.